Every time, I tell you, every time it looks like a turnaround Tuesday, and it's not at the end of the day. Here we go. Yeah, started off hot. Here we are chopping around a little bit mid-session. Welcome to EmpowerAg Trading Turnaround Tuesday. Got my friend Connor B. He's in the background right now. We'll talk about markets, and we'll jump right into it. Let's quote this market up for y'all, and then I'll bring in my friend. All right. We got July corn down a penny, 414.5. Dees corn 442 3/4, up a penny. July beans up 8.5 at 11.27. Nove beans up 11 at 11.45. Beans are the winners here. KC wheat down 5 3/4 on the July contract, looking at 6.34 right now. Chicago wheat is up 6 cents, tickling that $6 level, 5.96.5. We traded above 6 at 6.04, but right now we're struggling to hold it. Looking at cattle markets, we got feeders up $5.50 to $6 on your feeder contracts, and your fat cattle were up 4.5 to 5. Good to see the cattle market surging higher. The Dow is up 471 points, 52,213. The S&P's down 18. Nasdaq's down 378. Crude oil down 4.5, $5, 75. Broke below $80 a barrel here. That's kind of a snapshot of your markets here. Let's bring in my co-host, if I can find my mouse, and bring him into the show. Connor B, how are you today?
I'm doing good. A lot of, we got crop conditions out. We got a fund position that doesn't want to own commodities right now. Crude oil's dropping. But to me, the story today is what happened on the open in this soybean market. So I was looking at my screen, at the pause, I think we were down something like 8 cents on soybeans. I'm looking at new crop soybeans, something like that. Market open. I don't know if you have a chart ready that shows that just 5-minute about how fast that market popped up. It was like we opened up 20 cents higher from where we were.
I'll pull one in here for you. Try to at least look at that. No beans there.
Just boom, and we're up higher. We've been chopping around. We've given a little bit back. But it was one of those moves where I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, what headline did I miss that constituted this move, right? And we got other, corn followed, wheat's up decent, but it was really on the soybeans. And so I don't know what you saw, Brady. Everything or anything that I've saw is just rumor mill that China's kind of sniffing around for some new crop soybeans and that we got some buyers coming to the market on the open. But just such a quick move and really gives Turnaround Tuesday its name. So it's one of those that I hope it has feet. I hope we close right now. November soybeans are up 10, 11 cents. I hope we stay there into the close and we don't fizzle out, but just an interesting move and one I hope that sustains.
Right. Yeah. You look at the, I'm going to pull in that's the daily chart too. So right at that blue line's a 100-day moving average. So we blasted above it right there and then settling back here. Hopefully we can close above that 100-day. To me, that's a good level to be closing at here. So yeah. Anytime you see a big surge like that on an open or when the market, you wonder what headline, what does somebody know that I don't? And given where conditions are and the stage of the crop right now, it's got to be some sort of demand type driven headline like you're potentially, but rumors, I don't know. We'll see if they come to fruition where things lie, but
time will tell. And that's a card you and I have been talking about it the past couple of weeks, is just when can we get that China demand card, right? Soybeans, great. I love to see some China buying US beans. It's fantastic. Be nice if we could see China step in and buy some U.S. corn. That would really get this thing excited, because when I flip over to the corn market right now, I see a weather forecast that so far isn't threatening crop conditions. I don't know if you want to talk about them, but we're middle of the pack looking at conditions. It's one of those that it's definitely not threatening, in my opinion.
Right. Just lacking a story. The bulls need a story. The crop, the supply side just seems to be non-threatening at the moment, and bulls need a story. And the funds, they got to get concerned about whether the crop's not there. And if they think there's a crop there right now or non-threatening conditions at the moment, then it comes back to demand. And we've had good demand on the corn side of things. But when you have a 16 or 17 billion bushel crop, Is there a domino that falls that gets the market excited? And we've just seen excessive fund selling over the last couple of weeks. We got a net short position in the corn market. There's a lot of talk about, is this the bottom, right, Connor? And when I look at that short position, a net 5,000 short position, there's a lot of short selling that could come in to even drive the market further down from here. Although I hope it's a bottom. We all want it to be a bottom because these prices, they suck, but I guess they could suck worse if they
yes. That, and you said it well, because we've got a lot of room for funds to continue to sell this. Also, if we're just looking at seasonals, right? If we do not have some adverse weather conditions, if we have that trend line yield, June 16th is not the time that we put in a bottom. History says, right? Take that for what it's worth, because every year is different. But yeah, for anyone thinking that we can't go any lower than where was December corn low, like 435.
Right.
History says different. Time will tell there, but we'll see where we're gonna go. So
yeah, see how the next few weeks unfolds, and some weather stuff coming up. I think we got that WASDE report behind us and didn't get, if it's not bullish, it's bearish kind of type of sentiment right now. And we got the acreage report coming up at the end of the month. All eyes will be on that, watching those weather forecasts as they unfold. Non-threatening weather in South America, another kind of just notch for the bears to want to sell this market, or maybe just not have the confidence to go buy the market, that it has to take off and run. Then in the face, we talked about crude and these grains rallying up together, and they kind of divorced from that at a point in time where grains sold off and oil, crude kept going to some extent. But
right.
It feels like on this downturn, as crude $40 off the highs where it has been traded up to 119, now we're sub 80. It seems like they get married going up and then they kind of divorce themselves, but on the way down, they can kind of rejoin together and add some pressure again when they fall back down.
Absolutely. And really, if I could just complain for a few minutes, it was one of those when we had crude above 95, 100, right? We had corn at $5. Great. A lot of us would kill for some $5 corn right now, but it was one of those that we saw crude oil go from 65 to 95. We didn't see any type of move like that in commodities, in corn and soybeans like that. And so now, right, like you said, it looks like all signs are pointing toward moving towards ceasefire. Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, right? It feels like we're going the right direction. No, nothing's been signed. We got a ways to go, which, if anything, these past few months, we've learned that we got to get to the finish line for it to be done. But it feels like we're going there. Certainly looking at the crude oil market and the sell-off that we're seeing in there, it feels like it's going that. But yeah, and then the on the same way, we've seen crude oil sell off. Yeah, and then we got corn and soybeans kind of following, right? Why couldn't we got the tick up? Why couldn't we got the good with the bad? It feels like we just get the bad sometimes.
Right.
All right. Complaining.
So Connor, your thoughts on this peace deal going forward? We had that announcement that we got a peace deal with Iran. We've agreed on it on both sides. Signing on Friday. Is this legit, Connor? Is this the one?
It feels time will tell, and it feels like it very much depends on. Let's see how Israel kind of reacts in the next few days. I feel like if there's going to be a hiccup, it could come from them. But it feels this is 2 to 3 steps further than we'd gotten before, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like we've finally gotten over that hump to where both sides agreed, because the playbook's kind of been that we get something from maybe the Iran side or from the United States side, and there's no agreement, right? If President Trump puts something out there and then Iran disagrees, and this is not the case. It feels like I don't know what the next 48 hours will bring. I don't know. I barely know what the next 15 minutes are going to bring, but it feels like it's a step in the right direction.
Right. And looking at the market, it seems like the market kind of feels like it is the real deal too, with breaking $80 on crude and all that. Your prices at the pump, they're probably not going to change dramatically over the next few weeks. We'll take a rocket up when the tension comes in, but kind of float like a feather down and gradually take the stairs down on prices at the pump. But
I saw something that this was the biggest supply shock to oil in history. Okay. And I know when we look at the pump and what it was 4 months ago, it's higher. I know crude above 100 is a big number, but to say that this is the biggest supply shock in history, the actual move we saw in crude oil does not reflect that, right? I think we're going to look back in a couple of years and say how the market weathered it better than we could have thought. So when we put things in perspective, it's interesting where we're going to go. But.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, next talking point I have, big deal tomorrow, Connor B. Fed Chair Kevin Warsh is going to make his debut. Press conference, first Fed meeting for him. So I think a lot of eyes will be on, nobody's expecting a rate change at this meeting, but the rhetoric in his press conference, how hawkish, how dovish, his changes at the Fed that he'll see, the questioning that he'll get of, how much transparency. That's one thing I've read about with him coming into this role is maybe the Fed needs to stop talking so much, do more thinking, less talking, and not be as transparent as we've been the last few years, because that can sometimes add too much influence to the Fed. Fed needs to just go do their job and not so much be a center role for infotainment per se.
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say. I haven't looked at the odds, but the odds of a rate change are a little bit above 0%, correct?
There's none expected here at this meeting. And I think there's some hikes, but and that has evolved over the last couple of months. So from going to potential cuts this year to looking at 2 to 3 quarter point hikes by the end of the year. And he's very much in a pickle of, do I appease the president? Obviously likes inflation and wants lower rates, and but what does the jobs market tell us, and what's the bond market telling us too here where we need to be? But it's a lot of moving pieces in the macro world and changing all the time.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. First one is Fed president, so we'll see.
The market equities will be watching that and everything else tomorrow afternoon. In the equity market, when you talk about equities, you got to talk a little bit about cattle. We got a cattle on feed report at the end of the week. On Thursday is the end of our week with the Juneteenth holiday.
That's right.
On Friday.
Wow, I forgot about that. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, short week this week. You can go on a little vacation if you want or something, Connor B. Take the family out. Cattle on feed report Thursday. Cattle market, good to see that thing, resilient trade in the cattle market. I might pull a chart in real quick while we're talking about it, just briefly. October feeders up 585 right now. Look at the 62% retracement of the May breakdown, where we traded 375 down to a 330 level, sub 330, and now here we are back at 364. 362 on the October contract, but nice retracement there. Boy, let's keep this cattle market chugging, Connor B.
It's nice to see the resilience, isn't it? When I look at a chart like that, when we started weathering the screwworm news and all that, we went down and tested. I think it was in feeders, maybe not, but nice to see resilience in the cattle market, is my opinion.
For sure. Yep. Resilient market. Supply side fundamentals aren't going away, and we'll manage the screwworm deal. I know this screwworm is selling a lot of fly sprayers for cattle ranchers. These big machines that go fog your cattle herds that cost $800 to $1,500. Everybody's looking for one of those right now because we want to stay on top of fly management. Whether it's a house fly, a screwworm fly, I can't tell the difference, but if it flies, it dies kind of policy around here.
I like it. Other things I had in the calendar is if you took the ECO coverage, right, we're seeing what those final county yields are. If your county got a payment, and I haven't seen the total Corn Belt maps about what counties can expect one, but I think they're expecting pretty good payouts just based on what that fall what that fall price was. And so that'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see where they have final yields. And the next one, I'm sure you and I are going to talk about just leading up to that June 30th report. Where are we going to see corn and soybean acres come in at?
For sure. Let's break that down a little bit next week. But yeah, the ECO, SCO stuff, I'm interested to see how that pans out. So that's last year's crop that's settling up a payment here now based on just production. With the good production, does that cut into the potential for that payment? Or
it absolutely could, right? What's the old adage with crop insurance is we can out yield, especially where I am in central Illinois, we can out yield our coverage pretty quickly. I know, stay with me, I just had a crop insurance agent text me about I'm in Christian County, Illinois.
Okay.
Did he tell me? Please sit tight. He said ECO at 95% would have paid in Christian and Shelby County. I'm right on the line.
Okay.
Would have paid Shelby County beans, not Christian County beans. And quite frankly, I'm surprised it's paying on beans at all. I was doing the math for this year, looking at ECO coverage on soybeans, and that Feb average was at 1109 for soybeans. We got to have some type of yield hit or a pretty good price drop to start having the conversation on soybeans with ECO coverage before it kicks in. We are well above where that crop insurance floor is, even if we took out the max coverage on insurance. So sorry, got on a tangent, but it's what I'm thinking about right now.
Well, it's a big topic to be thinking about right now. And, as you make your risk management decisions and, thinking about, how it worked last year and what it looks like this year, where you're at today, and what actions you should be taking in today's market right now. Those are conversations that need to be had. Oftentimes I think in our business, when the markets go up, things can get busy and everybody gets busy. But when markets go down and sell off, if you have positions in place and things on the board, where's your risk and where's your equity in those positions, and what's your risk going forward, and how do you protect the equity in the position that you have on paper, whether it's through insurance or through your options or futures positions, and managing those positions. That's what you do in down markets. And we've certainly had plenty of that over the last month.
Yeah. And we're not, I want to be very clear, in the corn market, we're not there yet. I know we beat the crap out of this market, but when we look at the higher, how many producers took out ECO because it was higher subsidy levels this year. If we can look at how they changed the reference prices on ARC and PLC, when we get below $4 corn, there's a period where it's not as much panic mode, maybe on previous years, right? We need to drop significantly from here to have that conversation. But when we get into low prices, the safety net is much bigger. And so that'd be my one message, is when things get really ugly, let's make sure we're looking at what are all these, what's ARC and PLC potentially doing for us? What's our crop insurance doing for us as well? And then making a decision from there.
Good call out, Connor B. Yep. Always something to be looking at here. So with that, I think let's wrap. But before we go, self promotion here. Each week on Friday, I send out the weekend wrap, insider market update to customers and clients. If it's something you're interested in, I invite you to head on over to my website, EmpowerAgTrading.com. That's EmpowerAgTrading.com. You can sign in, leave some contact info, and I'll make sure you get on the list to get the weekend wrap each Friday here when I send it out. So with that, Connor, thanks for being here today.
Always a pleasure.
Reach out to Connor, visit him, call him up if you want to see how the crop is in an ice state in Illinois, the good world, the good life, where y'all get all the rain and the moisture.
It looks, we had some nasty weather last week in where I'm at. Potential, I've seen all these stuff on Twitter about the high risk of tornadoes. I'm right on the southern end of that. It looks like maybe we got some nasty weather coming in tomorrow, but so far we're off to a pretty good start on how everything looks, in my opinion, Brady.
Good. Yeah. Well, usually the there's a lot more good than there is bad when those weather events come through, but there's always those pockets of bad where you have the green snap and the hail and this and that. And it's unfortunate, but we'll keep on grinding. And thanks for joining me today, Connor. We'll buzz on out of here and see you guys next week.
See you
later.